Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bachelor Nation News. Fans, the sun hung low over the rolling hills of Napa Valley, painting the vineyards in a golden haze. The air was thick with the scent of ripening grapes, mingled with a hint of lavender from the nearby fields. It was the perfect setting for a group date, one that promised laughter, flirtation, and, unbeknownst to everyone, an unforgettable shot that would leave hearts racing and jaws dropping. Mel Owens, the Golden Bachelor, walked through the vineyard with an easy charm, greeting each woman with his signature warm smile. Yet, beneath that confident exterior, his mind was a whirlwind. For weeks, he'd been building up to this moment, one carefully crafted to convey feelings that words alone could never express. Tonight, he wasn't just looking to connect. Tonight, he planned to reveal a piece of himself that would change everything. Cindy, radiant in a flowing, blush-pink dress, wandered slightly ahead of the group. Her laughter bubbled over the sounds of clinking wine glasses and the soft chatter of other contestants. There was a lightness to her steps, a natural grace that drew Mel's eyes every time she moved. Over the past few weeks, a spark had grown between them, an undeniable pull that neither could ignore. Yet he knew that expressing it in a group setting was risky. Misunderstandings could fly like wildfire, and jealousy could bubble beneath the surface. As the women gathered near an elegant trellis, draped with twinkling fairy lights, Mel took a deep breath and excused himself briefly. A producer handed him a small, sleek envelope, sealed with a golden sticker. He recognized the handwriting immediately. It was his own carefully chosen words. Inside, a personal message addressed to Cindy. A confession crafted with vulnerability and honesty. His heart pounded at the thought of reading it aloud. The women chatted and sipped their wine, unaware of the quiet tension that had begun to hum around Mel. Then, as the sun dipped behind the vineyard hills, he called everyone's attention. "Ladies," Mel began, his voice steady but carrying a weight that made heads turn. "I've prepared something a little different tonight, something personal." A hush fell over the group. Whispered questions floated through the air, curious eyes fixed on him. Cindy's own gaze met his, a mixture of anticipation and nervous excitement flickering in her eyes. Mel unfolded the envelope and cleared his throat. "Cindy, I've wanted to tell you this for a while. I've tried to find the right moment, the right words, but honestly, there's never been a moment as right as now." Her breath caught, and several women leaned forward, intrigued by the shift in energy. He took a step closer to her, offering a gentle smile. "You've brought something into my life that I didn't even realize I was missing. Your laughter, your kindness, your courage, it's all made me feel seen in the way I haven't felt in years. And tonight, I want to tell you, I'm falling for you. Truly." For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then Cindy's eyes widened, tears threatening to spill, and the other contestants gasped audibly. Mel wasn't done. "I know we're all here looking for love, and I respect that every one of you has hopes and dreams for your own connection with me. But Cindy, you've captured my heart in a way I can't ignore, and I wanted to tell you personally before anyone else could." The words hung in the air, golden and fragile. Cindy's hands trembled slightly as she reached for his. "Mel," she whispered, her voice a mixture of disbelief and joy. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything right now," Mel reassured her softly. "I just wanted you to know." The group watched in stunned silence. Whispers and murmurs rippled through the other women. Some shocked, some clearly feeling pangs of jealousy, others simply moved by the sincerity of the moment they'd just witnessed. A few contestants exchanged wide-eyed glances, unable to process the raw honesty they'd just witnessed. Then, in a surprising twist, Mel held up a small, elegantly wrapped box. "And because actions speak louder than words, I wanted to give you this. It's a little something to remind you that what I feel is real, and I hope it makes you smile." Cindy's hands shook as she accepted it, carefully unwrapping the delicate ribbon. Inside was a vintage locket, engraved with their initials intertwined, a small rose pressed inside. She gasped, covering her mouth in astonishment. "Mel, it's beautiful," she whispered, her voice catching with emotion. "I wanted it to be something timeless, just like my feelings for you." By now the other women were whispering frantically amongst themselves, glancing between Cindy and Mel, trying to process the scene. Some smiled supportively, while others couldn't hide the pangs of disappointment that fluttered across their faces. Cindy, overwhelmed, looked up at Mel and finally allowed a shy, radiant smile to spread across her face. I feel the same," she admitted softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been trying to fight it, but I can't anymore." The group erupted in a mix of cheers and stunned silence. Mel's heart swelled at her words, and he gently took her hand, lifting it to his lips in a tender kiss that made several contestants blink in surprise. Cameras caught every moment, every flicker of emotion, every gasp. It was the kind of group date moment that reality TV producers dream of, full of drama, romance, and raw human connection. Even the host, standing a few yards away with a microphone in hand, had to momentarily step back in awe. "Well," the host said, regaining composure, "it looks like someone just delivered a group date shock that no one will forget anytime soon." And in that vineyard, under the golden glow of the setting sun, surrounded by the gentle rustle of leaves and the sweet scent of wine and flowers, Mel and Cindy shared a moment that would be replayed in highlights, teasers, and social media clips for weeks to come. A perfect storm of romance, surprise, and vulnerability that left everyone gasping for more. But of course, the story was far from the end, because in a show like The Golden Bachelor, every heartfelt confession is just the beginning, and every spark of love is bound to ignite more drama, jealousy, and emotional twists that nobody sees coming.
Once calm and sun-kissed, now buzzed with electric tension. The women lingered, still processing Mel's heartfelt confession and the gift that had left Cindy speechless. A few contestants exchanged uneasy glances, jealousy and disappointment clouding their features. Others whispered softly, their voices tinged with admiration. No one had expected Mel to make such a bold, personal declaration during a group date. Cindy, clutching the locket like a precious treasure, took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She turned to Mel, her eyes glimmering in the fading golden light. I never imagined something like this could happen tonight," she admitted, her voice shaking with emotion. "I've liked you for so long, but hearing it feels like everything finally makes sense." Mel smiled, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Cindy, I've never felt this connection with anyone before. I wanted you to know, here, now, that my feelings are real. I don't want you to doubt them for even a second." The other women couldn't hide their reactions. Sarah, who had shared a few private moments with Mel earlier in the week, looked away sharply, her lips pressed in a thin line. "Well, that's unexpected," she muttered under her breath, clearly struggling with her disappointment. Meanwhile, Julia, always the optimist of the group, whispered to her friend, "Honestly, I think it's beautiful. He's being so genuine. I can't hate him for that." Mel, sensing the mixture of awe and tension around him, raised his hands slightly. "I know this is sudden. I know it might be hard to hear, but I had to be honest. I didn't want to keep my feelings hidden any longer." Then came the moment that truly shocked everyone. A producer stepped forward with a small tablet, signaling Mel that a surprise awaited. The group's curiosity spiked instantly. "What's this?" Cindy asked, tilting her head as she held on to Mel's arm. Mel glanced at the tablet, then back at the women. Apparently, there's a video message for Cindy, from someone very special. Cindy's eyebrows shot up. From who? Mel shrugged with a playful smile. "Guess we're about to find out." The screen lit up, showing a familiar figure, Mel's daughter Emma, who had flown in secretly to deliver a heartfelt message. The camera captured her smiling, nervously holding a bouquet of fresh flowers. "Hi, Mom," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I wanted to send a special message to Cindy because Dad talks about you all the time. I've seen how happy he is when he's with you, and I just wanted to say, I think you're amazing, and I really hope you two get to know each other even better." Cindy's jaw dropped, tears welling in her eyes. I never even knew Emma was here." The other women gasped, some covering their mouths in sheer surprise. The combination of Mel's confession and this unexpected family endorsement sent the tension in the group soaring to a whole new level. Mel stepped closer to Cindy, gently taking her hands. "I wanted you to know that the people who matter most to me are rooting for us. Emma's words, they mean a lot, and so do I." Cindy's eyes sparkled as she leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't believe this is happening. I've never felt so seen or so wanted before." Meanwhile, not everyone could handle the emotional roller coaster. Sarah stormed off towards the edge of the vineyard, muttering under her breath, while Julia tried to calm her. "Come on, don't let this ruin your night. Let's enjoy the rest of the date." As the sun dipped completely below the horizon, fairy lights glimmered around the vineyard, casting a romantic glow. The women slowly regrouped, though whispers and sideways glances continued to ripple through the air. Cameras captured every flinch, every smile, every tiny movement, fuel for the next episode's teaser. The date continued with wine tastings and laughter, but the energy had shifted. The group now revolved subtly around Mel and Cindy, drawn to the undeniable chemistry between them. Even the host admitted, "Ladies, it's clear we're witnessing a bond that's hard to ignore." Cindy leaned closer to Mel, her voice soft. "I don't want this night to end. Can we just stay here for a moment?" Mel smiled, pressing his forehead gently against hers. "We can make this moment last as long as we want. No cameras, no interruptions, just us." But of course, in the world of the Golden Bachelor, peace never lasts. A sudden clatter came from the vineyard table. An upset glass of wine had spilled, and Sarah's frustration boiled over. "Seriously? Couldn't this have waited?" she snapped, glaring at the couple. Tension spiked immediately. Cindy's hand tightened around Mel's, while Julia stepped in, placing a calming hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Let's not ruin the moment. This is special. Everyone can respect that." The drama, it seemed, was far from over, but for a few magical moments, under the twinkling fairy lights and amidst the rolling hills of Napa Valley, Cindy and Mel held each other close, hearts beating in perfect synchrony. Their connection, now publicly unveiled and quietly blessed by family, was undeniable, a love story that would have fans talking for weeks. Little did they know, the night was only just beginning. Hidden surprises, secret messages, and unexpected confessions were still waiting to unfold, promising more gasps, more tears, and more of the high-stakes romance that made The Golden Bachelor the show everyone couldn't stop watching.
A gentle breeze carried the scent of ripe grapes and blooming lavender. The fairy lights twinkled like stars around them, casting a soft glow on Mel and Cindy as they walked away from the group, hand in hand. The other women lingered behind, whispers and sideways glances keeping the air thick with tension. But for a moment, Mel and Cindy were in their own world. Cindy's heart raced. "I can't believe all of this, the message, the locket, everything," she murmured. "It feels like a dream." Mel squeezed her hand gently. "It's real. Every word, every moment tonight, real. I wanted you to know that before anything else." They reached a quiet corner of the vineyard, where the moonlight reflected off a small stone fountain. Mel took a deep breath, his voice low and earnest. "I know this show can be overwhelming. There are cameras everywhere, and sometimes it feels like everyone else's opinions are louder than ours. But right now, it's just us. And I want to be honest, fully and completely." Cindy leaned in closer, her forehead resting against his. "I've never felt this kind of connection before. It's scary, but in the best way." Mel smiled softly. "Scary is good sometimes. It means it's real. And Cindy, I don't just want to feel this with you, I want to act on it. I want us to explore it fully. Meanwhile, back at the main group, tensions were boiling over. Sarah paced near the fairy-lit trellis, clearly still seething from the earlier confession. She muttered under her breath, I can't believe he said that to her in front of everyone. How is anyone supposed to compete with that? Julia, ever the peacemaker, tried to calm her. Sarah, just let it be. He's being honest, and Cindy, she deserves this. But Sarah's frustration was far from over. Deserve, Julia? Come on. We all deserve a chance. And now he's gone and made it impossible to focus on anyone else. I'm not just going to sit back and watch. Back in the private corner, Mel and Cindy sat on the edge of the fountain, the cool stone contrasting with the warmth of their closeness. Mel brushed a strand of hair from Cindy's face, his fingers lingering against her cheek. You know, I wasn't sure how to do this, how to tell you how I feel without making it weird in front of everyone. But I couldn't wait any longer. Cindy's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Mel, I've felt the same way for weeks. I've tried to hide it, but I can't anymore. I want this too. I want you. Mel leaned closer, and their lips met in a tender, lingering kiss. The world around them faded. The whispers, the cameras, the other women, all disappeared. In that moment, it was just the two of them, a connection so raw and real that neither had words to describe it. Meanwhile, the other contestants were plotting quietly. Sarah had retreated to a corner, pulling out her phone to strategize. If I'm going to have a chance, I need to shake things up. There's no way I'm letting Cindy just take this. Not without a fight. Across the vineyard, Julia watched with concern. Some people just can't handle honesty, she whispered to another contestant. I hope it doesn't get out of hand. Back at the fountain, Mel and Cindy laughed softly, sharing stories and memories from their time together on the show. Their bond deepened with every word, every glance, every shared secret. The cameras caught glimpses of their private world, but nothing could capture the electric intensity of their connection, the sparks that seemed to light up the night itself. Suddenly, a rustle came from the shadows. Mel instinctively moved closer to Cindy, his protective instinct kicking in. Out stepped a crew member, holding a small box. Another surprise. What now? She asked, half laughing, half curious. Mel opened it to reveal a handwritten note. He read aloud, Mel, the roses are waiting, but tonight, follow your heart. Cindy smiled, understanding immediately. Follow my heart, she teased, looking up at him. Mel nodded, his eyes serious. Exactly. No matter what happens with anyone else, I want to be honest. I want to see where this goes. The night grew deeper, the vineyard bathed in moonlight. Back with the group, Sarah made her move, confronting Mel directly. You don't get to just pick favorites. What about the rest of us? Mel's jaw tightened slightly, but he remained calm. Sarah, I understand this is emotional, but I can't ignore how I feel. Mel and I, we have something real, and I owe it to both of us to be honest about it. Cindy watched quietly, squeezing Mel's hand. She felt a surge of pride and gratitude knowing that Mel was standing firmly by her side, even in the face of jealousy and competition. The confrontation sparked whispers throughout the group, tension thick to slice with a knife. But through it all, Mel and Cindy remained connected, a quiet island of authenticity in a sea of drama. As the night wound on, the two stole away once more, finding a secluded spot among the grapevines. The air was cool, the moonlight shimmering through the leaves. Mel turned to Cindy, his voice low and tender. Tonight isn't just about the roses, the cameras, or the drama. It's about us. I want every moment with you to count. Cindy's eyes shone, reflecting the fairy lights and the moon above. Then let's make it count, she whispered. And with that, they shared another lingering kiss, a promise without words, a promise that, no matter what unfolded in the world around them, their connection was real, unshakable, and just beginning. Little did they know, the rose ceremony looming ahead would test their bond, challenge their trust, and bring out secrets and surprises that could either cement their love or shake it to their core.